Alright, so again, welcome to this gunsmith tutorial here that we're going to be doing. And to start things off, we're starting with the first person template here, since we already have character set up, but we're going to be making our own weapon and replacing this one right here, and then we can start from there. But if you already have a weapon, base weapon set up already, you could go ahead and just add the code that we're going to be doing to your weapon system, and it should all work. But let's start by creating our base weapon class. It's going to be an actor. We're going to call this weapon base. All right, start from there, and let's open this up. Weapon base. So in here we're going to add a few things. First, we want to add our skeleton mesh. Alright, and we're just going to be calling this weapon. Alright, and file and save as we go. My computer crashes a lot, so let's just keep doing that. But yeah, inside that weapon mesh there, we're going to add a few more things, and that's going to be our attachments. Alright, so let's go ahead. So we're going to use skeleton mesh for these. Not skeleton mesh, static meshes. So static mesh, we're going to call this one optics. Optics, that's going to be the site. Going to add another one. This one is going to be our muzzle. Alright, let's go ahead and just duplicate these. Our muzzle, then we have our stock, and duplicate that, keep it going. And we got our rear attachment. Duplicate that. What else? We got our muzzle. Okay, so we need an under barrel. That's for like the flashlights and red dots and stuff. Yeah. Under barrel, and I think that should be all that we need. That should definitely be all. But if we do need more, we're just gonna add them later on. You could always add these. Right, now that we have our weapon, we're gonna compile and save here. Now we're gonna move ahead to our struts. We're just gonna create these struts so we don't have to come back to them later on. But first things first, let's create a folder for our struts. So just gonna call the struts. Alright, in here we're gonna create our first weapon strut. So we're gonna go to blueprint here and create struts, and this is gonna be a weapon strut. Alright, and in there we're gonna have a few things. Well, not a few things, but a couple of things. And yeah, let's go on. The first thing we want to create is the name, and that is going to be going to give that a string. Second thing we want to create is the weapon socket. All right, then it's going to be a name, and then muzzle socket. This can also be another name, so I'm just gonna go ahead and create these variables that we need, and you could go ahead and do the same. Now the HUD image here, just gonna use texture 2D here for now, but just to keep going. But we're gonna be using material instances here. Okay, as a matter of fact, I might as well just go ahead and that now. Here we go. All right. So we keep going. What else? We need call this base damage. That'll be a float. Now the base damage here, we could always the plan here is when we create our ammo, you know, each ammo is going to have its own base damage. So you know, whenever you add it to you know, whenever you switch out an attachment, you would, you know, be able to, you know, switch out your ammo and then, you know, get a different damage for that ammo and stuff like that. But for now, we're gonna have the weapon have a base damage, so we could, you know, keep it going. And yeah, so max accuracy, and this is going to be you know, inside of our HUD for, you know, the max value, the max accuracy the weapon, you know, can fire. And then we're gonna do, you know, max range, and then another float. We're gonna call this max mobility. Another float, max control. Another float, we're gonna be calling this max fire rate. And we're gonna add a variable here for our preview, and that's when we're going to be, you know, previewing the gunsmith screen. And our preview class is going to be, you know, our weapon class, so we could spawn that. I'm going to go ahead and save. We have one more variable to add here, and that will be the weapon attributes, and that will be, you know, all the stuff that the weapon can do, and you'll be able to change and upgrade with each attachment. So yep, let's go ahead, let's add the structure and create our attribute struct. All right, so blueprint struct, that's going to be our attributes. Okay, and inside that, let's go. So the first variable we're going to put in here is damage, range, and that should change the range damage. That's going to be another float. All these should be floats since they're yeah. But bullet velocity, that's gonna, you know, something that's gonna be in our projectile. Recoil control, sound suppression, ADS speed. We're gonna do a movement speed. ADS stability. Okay, sprint to fire, and that's gonna be, from going from sprinting to fire, firing your weapon. Got a ADS walk steadiness. Okay, what else do we have here? The range. Got the mag capacity. Okay. ADS recoil control. So yeah, let's go ahead and save so I don't lose anything. Like I said, I crash a lot. Sight picture. Okay, and that will be how clear our aim, ADS render target is going to be. And then last, zoom level. Okay, and that should be all the things that our weapon need for now. Okay. If you want more things, you could always add them here, but yeah. Now we go back to our weapon strut, and then we add a new variable here called attributes. So, and then we just find our attributes here, and we just go ahead and add it. All right. Now, I think our main struct for a weapon is complete. All right, go ahead and save. So if you go down here in attributes, as you can see, our base weapon is going to have, our weapon, the base model is going to have its, base attributes here too. So, whenever you add an attachment, you could always update these attributes from the attachments. So to get that started, I think we should move on to the attachments. So let's go ahead and create that. And before we do, let's just go ahead and create these data tables, because we are going to be using data tables to store these information. So let's go here, create a data table, and then this is going to be from the weapon strut, and we're going to call it weapon data. All right, we're going to do one for attributes. Well, no, we're not going to do one for attributes, but yeah. And we go ahead and add our first weapon. We're going to call this one our Kraken. Okay. And I think the socket that's being used for the weapon is weapon. So I'm just gonna put that in there. We figure out the muzzle stuff a little bit later, but let's put the Kraken in there. We haven't had an HUD image yet, but yeah, and we should go ahead here and create our Kraken weapon. So let's create a base class child of this, and we're just going to call it Kraken Rifle. Save, and we could go back in our data here and just add the Kraken Rifle. Yes, and also we are forgetting our projectile here. So let's create a folder here for our projectile. Alright, go into class, new actor. Just gonna call this projectile. Should just call it projectile base. Okay, so projectile base here. Okay. And yeah. So let's just add that to our weapon structure. So let's add a new variable called projectile here. And projectile will be a class of projectile base. Okay, so we just won't have to come back to this later, and we already, we have a projectile already set up, so whenever we're ready, we could go ahead and put it in here. Yep. So next, after we created our weapons, create our weapons struct, our data table, now we need to create let's go ahead and do our attachments. All right, let's do our attachments. Let's do our attachment struct. Okay, so we're gonna do a new struct, call it attachment. Attachment struct. Okay. And then the attachment struct